Haya, andu aitu muriega rengi, asanteni sana. Nina furaha tele kupata nafasi kukutana na viongozi wa biashara hapa Nairobi na eneo ya Mlima Kenya. My friend Polycarp just called me and told me that, I want you to come for a nyama choma with businessmen. And I said, what is this, the topic or the subject? He said, just nyama choma. We sit there and we eat meat. And then we just talk generally. So I told him, any day, I'm so happy to come and share nyama choma na the businessmen. Because when I wear another hat, I'm also a businessman. So I'm going to talk little politics, but talk more business today. But as you know, politics and business are intertwined. They are locked together like two mating dogs. I was telling some people that what Nyayo got right, one of those few things he got right, was that siasa mbaya, siasa mbaya, maisha mbaya. And that was really very true. I'm also happy to see a majority, I would say 90% of the audience here is a post-independent generation. Quite a number. So I'm happy before I come to say what I wanted to say, I just want to do a little bit of journey down the memory lane to put this in context. That is, where do we come from? It's important for us to know where are we coming from, where are we, and where do you want to go as a people. And this, I think, is important. As you know that what is called Kenya was created in Berlin by those Wazungus who were sitting there and parceling Africa. It was called Partition of Africa. So Kenya was, the space we now call Kenya was given to the British. And the British gave it to a company, Imperial British East Africa Company, just to come there and look for tusks of elephants, look for minerals, and so on. Later on, they decided to now do a formal colonization. They built a railway line from Mombasa to Kisumu. It was called Kenya-Uganda Railway. You ask yourself, if it was Kenya-Uganda, why did it end in Kisumu? Because Kisumu was Uganda. Kisumu was the capital of the eastern province of Uganda, which came all the way up to Naivasha. That is how it was. So from Kisumu, they were now transshipping by ship to Portobello, to Jinja, and so on at that time. So Kenya became defined by the railway line. To construct the railway, the Indian was imported because they had constructed a railway line in India. And Indians had then required the skills as coolies. That's why the Indian labor was brought to work on the construction of the railway line. And when the railway line construction was finished, they did not want to go back to India. They decided to stay. And then they were given those stations which they were building as they were constructing railway line, the camps that they were building they were given those structures, and which they now transformed into shops. And they were now buying produce from the natives and importing manufactured products, being things like clothes, like salt, like sugar, and so on to the natives. So India then that way managed to develop merchant capital. And then some of them went into industries. They opened foundry shops, motor vehicle repair shops, and so on. The colonial system was like an apartheid system, because it was a system that was not meant to develop you, but to exploit you. Then they introduced a system of racial segregation. Number top was a Mzungu, then number 2 was a Mhindi, number 3 was a Mrabu, then the African was down there, number 4. To a Mzungu, you're just a bloody African. Just a bloody African. We are here on the Koinange land. If you go into record of history, in 1909 and 1912, Chief Koinange Wambiu was in court fighting to be allowed to grow coffee because natives were not allowed to grow coffee. So he had to go to court to challenge that law so that an African can be allowed to grow coffee in his own country. That is the extent of humiliation that our people went through at that time. I managed to see Koinange Wambiu. I was a small boy when he was released from colonial prison in 1960. And I was with my father. We came to his home here. And my father came to just thank him for the role that he had played in standing firm against the colonial system. So when Mazungus came, they found this area from Mt.Kenya to Mount Elgon. So beautiful, Lord Delamere. And he said this area is good for large-scale farming. And then exacted from the colonial government a right to bring settlers to come and settle here. And he said if you bring about a settler, anybody who came would get 10,000 acres free, plus free black labor. That was what Delamere was given. He went to Britain. He addressed town hall meetings in London, in Birmingham, in Liverpool, in Manchester, telling them that, look, down there we have got a land that is flowing with milk and honey. And anybody who agrees to come and settle there will get 10,000 acres for free, plus black laborers. Those days, the story of Africa was so bad that not very many agreed to come. They were thinking about bilharzia, malaria, wild natives. So he did not get many, those who responded in Britain. So in frustration, he came back. When he came back here, he decided to try it down south. He went by ship from Mombasa to Durban. There he found the white men who had lived in Africa for a long time. Some of them were laborers working in the other white men farms. So the prospect of getting free land and laborers up here was very appealing. That's how he got many Boers who came from South Africa and then Rhodesia to settle here. So land was taken away from Africans. what they call white highlands. Africans were removed from their land. And then Wazungu settled. So Africans were now basically laborers and squatters in this whole area that is called the White Highlands. If you go to Nyandarua there, you find a place they call the Happy Valley, where they would go there and celebrate, do all sorts of things. So this is why the Africans decided to rise up against the white rule, particularly the land, because of the humiliation, and fought and got independence. Now, the colonial system, as said, was discriminating against the blacks. So independence came in 1963. But then, what society did we inherit in 1963? In 1960, as I have told you, the Mzungu was at the top, even economically, because they owned large-scale farms, they owned the big wholesale businesses, and then the Indian followed. The Indian was the one who was in the middle class. Those big shops, retail shops, were owned by Indians. And then, of course, the Arabs. The Africans were basically just laborers. Here in Nairobi, and all over the country, actually, if you are found as a native with a 100 shilling note, you'll be arrested. Where did you steal it from? So, but at that time, the white settlers said that they don't want to stay back under an African government, black government. They said they want out. So they said they want their farms to be bought. The Africans did not have money to buy the farms. So the British government came up with an idea of giving a loan to Kenya government to buy the land. But then, that is where the nationalist movement split. Because all the Africans had united together as one people to fight against colonialism. There was no Kikuyu, no Mjaluo, no Mluhya, no Mkalenjin, no Meru, and so on. We were all one people. Because to a Mzungu, a Mudungu, you're just a bloody African. In Nairobi, I saw myself the signs. The Norfolk Hotel, there's one called the Queen's Hotel, which later became Bruna's. The New Stanley, you see signs written there, Africans and dogs, not allowed. Not allowed. So Africans were strangers in their own country. But now when we got now independence, then the nationalist movement split. There are those who agreed that we should get a loan from the British government.
Wamama wenzangu, so far tumefikisha 350k kwa akaunti yetu ya chama. Tufanye aje na hizi pesa zetu?
Naona tununue vitenge zinafanana. Vitenge. Hapana, tununue sufuria za non-stick.
Sufuria.
Tununueni kate.
Kate.
Ai, wamama wenzangu, vote tununue kaploti.
Kuna watu wanauza plots na nyuki.
Na nyuki?
Hebu tuwapigie simu watupe uhondo.
Hello.
Thank you for calling Octaven. How may we assist you?
Can we get a plot with 350,000 in Nanyuki?
Yes, you can get a plot at the Great Oasis Gardens in Nanyuki today for as low as 349,000 shillings.